We all know that antibodies are protective agents that work as warriors within the immune system of our bodies. But they are not that simple. They contrast in their organic features, arrangement, target specificity, and dispersal. Therefore, the evaluation of the antibodies can offer valuable insight into multifaceted humoral immune response. There are enormous kinds of monoclonal and polyclonal antibodies, and many more are continuously being developed. Since there are so many classes of differentiations in them, it is crucial that we select the most appropriate one for our needs. Antibody classes vary in the number of monomers, that is polypeptide units or Y units they have. This affects the valency of the protein and varies between species. In this session, we will see a brief rundown of antibody classification. We shall discuss on monoclonal and polyclonal antibodies. So, monoclonal antibodies are built up by same identical immune cells cloned from a unique parent cell and thus called as monospecific antibodies, where they are in contrast to polyclonal antibodies. Polyclonal antibodies are made up from several various immune cells. Monoclonal antibodies bind to the same epitope because they have monovalent affinity. By affording any substance, monoclonal antibodies can be possibly produced which specifically bind to that substance. Further, they can serve to identify or purify that specific substance. In medicine, molecular biology and biochemistry, this has become an important tool. The non-proprietary drug, when used as medications, name ends with MAB. By fusing myeloma cells with the spleen cells of a mouse, the monoclonal antibodies are made. The mouse used for this has been immunized with the wanted antigen. However, to form a rabbit hybridoma, recent advancements have permitted the usage of rabbit B cells. To fuse the adjacent plasma membranes, polyethylene glycol is used. Since the success rate is too low, a selective medium in which the only fused cells can grow is being used. To synthesize the hypoxanthine guanine phosphoribosyl transferase or HGPRT, this is possible as myeloma cells have lost their ability. HGPRT is an enzyme that is necessary for the collective synthesis of nucleic acids. The HGPRT's absence will not be a problem for these cells except when the de novo purine production pathway is interrupted. By exhibiting or exposing the cells to a folic acid analog, that is aminopterin, that inhibits dihydrofolate reductase for the nucleic acids requiring supplementation to survive, they are not able to use the de novo pathway and become completely auxotrophic. As the selective medium contains hypoxanthine, aminopterin and thiamine, the culture is called HAT or HAT medium. This culture medium is selective only for fused hybridoma cells. As unfused myeloma cells lack HGPRT, they cannot grow and therefore cannot replicate their DNA further. Due to their limited lifespan, unfused spleen cells cannot grow in an indefinite extent. Only fused hybrid cells, mentioned as hybridomas, can grow indefinitely in the medium as the spleen cell partner provides HGPRT and myeloma partner contains traits that makes it immortal, that is similar to a cancer cell. Then after diluting this mixture of cells from a single parent cell, they are cloned or grown on micro titer wells. By different clones, the antibodies secreted or assayed for their ability to bind and attach to the antigen using tests called ELISA, immune dot plot or antigen microarray assay. The most stable and productive clone is then picked out for further use or future use. Let us see the properties of monoclonal antibodies. Monoclonal antibodies are not simply high quality antibodies. For researchers' benefits, the monoclonal antibody technique makes it possible for the identification, purification, assay and marking of antigens that is not been purified earlier, and at the outset it is completely unknown. This is since the antibodies are generated to individual components of a mixture. Example, if a mouse is immunized with human erythrocytes, separate individual lymphocytes will start producing antibodies to individual components of erythrocyte. When lymphocytes produce the hybrid myeloma, the hybrids will produce these antibodies. Two monoclonal antibodies were obtained from such a hybridization experiment that binds particularly to the erythrocyte membrane, glycoprotein, that is glycophorin A. Thus, each will recognize a various part of the molecule. Also, they will recognize other antibodies that bind to other molecules on the surface of the erythrocyte. To purify the surface molecules and to detect the surface on other cells, various antibodies can be used. This example also illustrates the ability of the method to produce antibodies to individual antigenic determinants on a single molecule, which is particularly useful when some determinants are unique to that molecule while other determinants are also present on different molecules. Capturing inaccessible or rare immune responses is a rare specialized interest. To obtain good monoclonal antibodies, large number of hybrids is screened to antigens that may give weak or widely cross-reactive conventional antisera is possible, though the effort that is required should not be underestimated. By developing hybrid myelomas with lymphocytes from the lymph nodes that are adjacent to tumors, antibodies produced to tumors may be studied. Over conventional antisera, monoclonal antibodies have some revolutionary practical advantages, but limitations are also present. In amino acid sequence, all the molecules of a monoclonal antibody are identical and therefore in binding properties. The antibody can hence have exceptional specificity. By other irrelevant antibodies, a monoclonal antibody is negligibly contaminated and a low background will be given by it in assays and staining reactions. The radioactive labeling and conjugation are easily carried out because it can easily be purified, but in conventional antisera it is easy to ingest 14C, 3H and 35S biosynthetically into the antibody molecules by growing the cells containing labeled amino acids in the medium. Indefinitely, a monoclonal antibody can be multiplied or reproduced and distributed, and the properties of all the antibodies will always be similar. Hence, on an international basis, radioimmunoassays and their related techniques might be permanently standardized. Antigens may also be replaced by the antibody as a standard. Though monoclonal antibodies are too expensive to make and are characterized at the first instance, the continued production's cost is comparatively or probably less than the conventional anti-sera's cost production. As the presence of the monoclonal antibody can be checked, quality control is also easier. For example, by a convenient titration, the characteristic isoelectric focusing pattern and the activity can be measured. Thus, if the initial cost is covered, it is expected that monoclonal antibodies will step by step replace many conventional commercial anti-sera. Let us see the limitations exist with the monoclonal antibodies. Some important limitations are present for monoclonal antibodies. For example, monoclonal antibodies generally do not work in most of the basic immunological tests, that is the Aucherlony double diffusion assay, in which the antibody and antigens are allowed to diffuse towards each other in an agar to form a precipitate. Even so, by understanding them, their limitations can be easily overcome. One solution for these problems is the usage of suitable blends of the monoclonal antibodies for both cytotoxicity and precipitation. It has been clearly shown that a mixture of two monoclonal antibodies is adequate. Let us see the applications of monoclonal antibodies. The cell surface. Monoclonal antibody technology affects the cell surface and the related area of dividing and analyzing the cell populations from the tissues by using few cell surface antigens. The ability to make antibodies that identify only one antigenic determinant in a mixture is possible to obtain antibodies to individual components of cell surface. The cell surface composition may be examined in this way, and for functional studies, the individual cell types can be isolated within a population. An example is the work by Williams and co-workers on the rat T lymphoid cell surface. By the technique SDS electrophoresis, when the plasma membrane of the rat thymocyte is examined, three main bands were seen and they are found to be staining for carbohydrate. The next one is functional effects. This is a serious limitation. On cell surface structure, molecules can be easily identified, but rarely any function can be assigned to them. To use monoclonal antibodies effectively, antibody that has powerful effect on activity in a bioassay or a cell function can be chosen. In the human body, the monoclonal antibody OKT3 has same effects, but it binds to all the peripheral T cells and to only few thymocytes. But surprisingly, it is reported as mitogenic. Specificity and purity for a single site on the target molecule is an advantage of monoclonal antibodies. Let us discuss about the antibody production, facts, advantages and disadvantages of the monoclonal antibodies. Some eminent facts include that an antigen, it detects only one epitope. Only one antibody subtype will be present in monoclonal antibodies. For detection, a secondary antibody is required and an antibody against the subclass should be chosen correctly. During antibody production, monoclonal antibodies are only high technology is required. For the technology used, training is required. For hybridomas, time scale is very long. The hybridomas are made as renewable source and constant, and all batches are made identical once they are made, that are useful for standardization and consistency of the experimental procedures and results. Only one epitope is detected by monoclonal antibodies on any one antigen, which has some advantages. They are from staining of the sections and cells, Monoclonal antibodies usually have less background. Since they more particularly detect one target epitope with other proteins, they are unlikely to cross-react. Like the primary antibody in an assay, monoclonal antibodies are excellent due to their specificity for detecting antigens in tissue and give less background staining than the polyclonal antibodies. Homogeneity of monoclonal antibodies is very high when compared to the polyclonal antibodies. Results from the monoclonal antibodies will be highly reproducible when experimental conditions are kept constant between experiments. Monoclonal antibodies specificity makes them highly efficient within a mixture of the related molecules, where in the case of affinity purification. A few disadvantages of monoclonal antibodies are: large amounts of particular antibodies can be produced, but they may be too specific. Than polyclonal antibodies, monoclonal antibodies are more vulnerable to the loss of the epitope through any chemical treatment of the antigen. By pooling two or more monoclonal antibodies, this can be offset to the same antigen. Let us now move on to the study of polyclonal antibodies. Antibodies that are secreted by various B cell lineages within the human body are known as polyclonal antibodies. Polyclonal antibodies are a collection of immunoglobulin molecules that usually reacts against a particular antigen that identifies a different epitope. The polyclonal antibodies are generally produced by vaccination of a suitable mammal, for example, goat, mouse and rabbit. Larger mammals are often preferred because the amount of serum that can be collected is higher and greater. When an antigen is injected into a mammal, it induces the B lymphocytes to develop immunoglobulin G, immunoglobulins that are specific for the antigen. The polyclonal IgG produced is purified from the mammal's serum. To obtain high affinity, high titer antisera for the use in experimentation or diagnostic test are the primary goal of antibody production. To enhance or improve the immune response to antigens, adjuvants are used. Many adjuvants supply for an injection site, that is antigen depot, which allows for a slow release of the antigen into draining lymph nodes. To increase antibody titers and to induce a prolonged response with the following memory, adjuvants are generally used with soluble protein antigens. To produce particular recombinant polyclonal antibodies, antibodies are currently being produced from the isolation of human B lymphocytes. For therapeutic applications, the biotechnology company Symphogen produces this kind of antibody. To produce recombinant polyclonal antibody drugs to reach phase 2 trials, they are the first research company. Viral and prion transmission are prevented by this production. Some eminent facts about polyclonal antibodies are: on any one antigen, they recognize multiple epitopes. From a mixture of antibodies of different affinity, serum obtained will contain a heterogeneous complex. Polyclonal antibodies are mainly made up of immunoglobulin G subclass. To produce polyclonal antibodies that target single unique epitopes, peptide immunogens are often used, particularly for protein families having high homology. Just in case of antibody productions by polyclonal antibodies are very inexpensive for production, for low production technology and skills required, the time scale is short for production. For examining specific domains of antigen, polyclonal antibodies are not useful, since polyclonal antiserum will normally identify many domains. Let us see the advantages of the polyclonal antibodies. Polyclonal antibodies can help amplify signal from the target protein with a very low expression level, because the target protein will bind to many antibody molecules on the multiple epitopes. In the antigen, they tolerate many minor changes. For example, heterogeneity of glycosylation, polymorphism and slight denaturation than monoclonal or homogeneous antibodies. They will recognize proteins of high homology to the immunogen protein and to screen for the target protein in the tissue samples from species other than that of the immunogen. Some disadvantages of the polyclonal antibodies are: they are prone to batch variability. Large amounts of non-specific antibodies are produced, which can at times give background signal in some of the applications. For any cross reactivity, multiple epitopes make it important to check the immunogen sequence. To conclude, in this session, we discussed about monoclonal and polyclonal antibodies. We also described the characteristics of monoclonal and polyclonal antibodies. To summarize, the small site on an antigen to which a complementary antibody may specifically bind is called an epitope. Monoclonal antibodies are built up by same identical immune cells cloned from a unique parent cell and thus called as monospecific antibodies, where there are, in contrast to polyclonal antibodies. Polyclonal antibodies are made up from several various immune cells.